your topic for today?
My topic for today is, when do you get to point out contradictions while having conflict? So, as an example, let's say me and a young lady, she is pointing something out about me. That very same thing that she says that I do, she does herself. Is it okay for me to point it out while she is expressing her disappointment in me? Or do I have to wait at a different time, whether it be a day later, a week later?
No, I'm just playing.
A month later? Because a lot of times when you do that, everybody always says you either trying to change the subject, you're trying to deflect, you're being defensive.
Tit for tat.
Tit for tat. So when is the healthy time to point out to somebody, hey, you do this too?
I'll jump in on that. I know it is super hard to resist not saying it right then and there. It's like, are you serious right now? The nerve, right?
Right.
But I believe if you want to maintain the health of your relationship, that you should withhold that information, listen to what they have to say to you about what they're disappointed in you about, have a conversation about that, and then at a later date, point out that while you heard what they said, you struggle with the fact that they do the same thing and apparently aren't aware of it, and then have that conversation with them about it. But if you bring it up right when they're bringing it up, it's not going to go well, because if you had a problem with it, not to say that there's a time limit on when you can bring things up, but why did you wait until they said something to say something? And so that's not a listening mentality. That's not a listening and absorbing and understanding stance to, as soon as you hear something that they're doing too, that's where your mind goes, as opposed to listening to and identifying the problem and the challenges and the issues with what you're doing and how it's playing out. That's my 2 cents.
I want to give like a real, because I had that in real life.
We all do.
And it was very frustrating because so he talked a lot, right? Clearly, I talk a lot. Okay.
Let's talk about
it. And so we would be on the phone, and he would ask me a question, and then I would start to answer, and then he would say, wait a minute, I'm not finished, right? And so then at some point, he would take a breath, and I would try and hop in to answer the question, and he would tell me I was interrupting him. And I said, but you just asked me a question, so do I get to answer the question? So he felt like I was always interrupting him, even if he had asked me a question. And I said that because that was like the last conversation we had, because I couldn't take it no more. So I just never talked to him again after that, because I could never get a word in, even if he asked me the freaking question, right? But he was always saying that I was interrupting him, but he was always interrupting me. So how was I supposed to bring that to him? How could we have, I don't know any other way than the way that I did it, which was to stop talking to him, but how would I could have resolved that? I mean, you say wait to a later date, but I wasn't going to be able to get the whole sentence out.
Well, that wasn't the same thing. Well, sort of, because y'all both saying y'all interrupting each other, so I guess to some degree it's the same thing, but I don't think that that's the source of the issue there. He's a person who, it sounds like, just from the little I heard, asks a question and then really answers himself. He's really not asking you. He wants you to listen. He doesn't really want to hear you talk, which is not a great communication style, and it never will end up in effective communication. I think you instead of just pointing out that he's talking over you, you have to bring to his attention at a time when he's not doing it. I think sometimes it's the best time to bring it up to somebody. It seems like it's easiest to bring it up while they're doing it, because here's the example right here.
I did that.
Right, but they're submerged in the mistake at that point. So you can catch a blank canvas if you bring it up 2 days later, while nothing else is going on, to say that, hey, I notice a pattern in our conversations. You ask me a question and then never give me the room to actually answer the question. And that's the best you can do. And after that, if it doesn't work, then you did the right thing. Stop
Yeah,
talking
because when I tried that part that you just said, bringing it up, he interrupted me.
True to himself, right?
He interrupted me, and then he told me that I was being masculine. He said, you bring in masculine energy. You always want to control something. I just wanted to, like, have a conversation, which requires us to take turns listening. You know, and so there were times during that where I would just go through conversations and not say a word. He would just talk the whole time. But yeah, with your question, when is a good time? Depending on what it is, in my situation, there was no good time. But let's go to the connoisseur over there who's probably had experience.
Karen, we talking about you.
Man.
We talking about you.
So, the men I've dated, I'm not going to say all men do this, but the men I've dated, that was like so popular among them. You can't get a word in, or that's just what they do. They, like you just said, well, your question. That happens all the time, and it's like, I never knew how to deal with that. I'm usually a problem-solving type person, but for something like that, I don't know what to do either. It makes me not want to talk to them. They either cut you off, or like I said, they do something, you do something, and they do it too. And,
Kind of
back
like
and
if they
forth
don't
all
take the
time.
garbage out. Like, you don't ever take the garbage out. Well, you don't ever take the garbage out either.
Right,
Oh.
and that happens all the time.
Because this is something I have contemplated in my relationships. And the only conclusion I really came to was there's never a good time. And the reason why I say why I'm starting to feel that way is because a lot of times when people aren't aware of themselves, they aren't aware of themselves. So if I say a week later, hey, you were upset with me because I did this, you do that too, they're going to say, no, I don't. And so now you have to have that battle of when did they do it, right? And so I am the type of person who I remember, and I don't ever say anything unless I have an example of the occasion in which someone does something. And so and then when you bring it up, now it's, you bringing up the past thing, as if now they don't do it anymore, right? So now you got to have that discussion, because whenever anybody says something to me, I ask, can you give me an example of when I have done this? And what I have found is that a lot of people can't give you an example of when you have done something. They usually go by how you've made them feel. It may not be what you've actually done. It may not be what you've actually said. But because they felt a certain kind of way about it, then they may say that. So I haven't really found a good way to go about this thing, and it's something that I've thought about a lot as far as just how to deal with conflict.
Man, Okira, what you're saying now resonates so strongly with me, right? Because I'm hitched, so I'm supposed to know what you're supposed to do. And when I was busting my dope moves, right, in relationships, and it didn't work, I was so confused. Like, man, what the? But if a person isn't ready to receive, then you're absolutely correct. There is no right time. And I can't say this has been the bulk of my experience, but there have been special cases and special situations where choosing the right time, choosing neutral times where there's no existing issue, where things are pretty cool and pretty neutral, to bring something up works, but it really does have to be a person who's ready to receive, understands that they still have room for improvement, and actually have an inner desire outside of you, outside of their connection to you, to improve as a person.
So it's not a right time, it's a right person.
Facts.
Because I call them emotionally
That's what it is.
unintelligent.
I call them emotional idiots.
And right, the same thing.
That's harsh.
It's the same thing. Different
People
words.
who lack
And
self-awareness.
They operate out of emotions.
Everybody has blind spots. Even
Yeah,
Hitch has blind spots because you're you. So nothing you do looks exactly the same to you as it does to the people on the outside, right? Because that's not the viewpoint that they're looking at from the outside and not from the inside. And so you do have to use the experiences and the results that you're having as some feedback to what you're doing. It does say something about the other person too, but if you're not reading it as some feedback for you, then you're probably going to keep repeating the same experience over and over again.
So I want to, something that we talked about before, and this kind of just really brings it to light. So we always talk about being in a relationship is where you kind of learn the most about yourself,
Sure.
and that the person that you wind up in a relationship with kind of reflects you, right? So it would seem that, you know, for a person like any of us being in a relationship with people who are, as I call us now, connoisseurs in this area, right? Conversation and focus, connoisseurs. I hate experts and gurus because nobody's an expert.
Right.
But we do stay in this whole kind of genre all the time. So any of us that would date any of us, you know, connoisseurs, we should be able to see it. Like if I were dating O'Kara and he said, well, X, you know, you interrupt me all the time too. I'll be like, oh, so you a reflection of me. So it's something that we both need to work on.
Right.
But somebody who's not in that space is not going to see it that way, like you said, being ready to receive. So with the question that you asked, if it is one of us on one end and that person tells us you do the same thing, because honestly, you know, when he said, you know, you interrupt me too, I do interrupt people every once in a while. But it's kind of when they become repetitive, when they, you know, some people say the same thing over and over again, and I can only hear it twice, 3 times it stretches. So then I will hop in if you keep saying the same thing over and over again. So I know that is something that I work on continually, is not interrupting people, or if they talk real slow. Those people who just take like
Forever.
30 whole
I can't take it.
to say.
Yeah. Xavia, can you stop doing that? 'Cause
Right. Like you triggering me right now. Like I'm literally like,
Right now, I want it to
like
stop.
okay, we get it.
Y'all see,
Like
I just-
please stop. Make it stop.
So you know what I'm
I
talking
was-
about.
yeah, 'cause
So
I just
yeah, I will
interrupted
hop
you.
in on those people too. So I know that interrupting is something that I do.
Right.
And if you keep talking and ask me a question, don't even allow a point for me to, well, yeah.
So Xavia, are you in control a lot of the time?
Am I in control of what?
Whatever's going on around you and with you.
So the way my life is set up right now, you know, I have my business and I have clients in my business, and right now my professional side of me is kind of my lifestyle.
Right.
So right now, yeah, I'm in control of most of the stuff that goes on in my life.
And that doesn't make you a bad person in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
I don't want to do that in my relationship though.
Right, but people's perception is reality, and so I can identify with what you're saying. Like you got a lot going on, and if you don't try to control it, it's going to be out of control.
It's going to be out of control for a lot of people.
For a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when people have that perception of you, that's the lens, you know, that they're looking at
They
you
just always do.
through, and so any assertiveness can be perceived as, you know, controlling the situation. So there's some truth to what they're saying, right? But it's also their overall perception of you that they're putting that lens on every single
I feel
thing that you do. And of course, because of the social construct of men supposed to be and maybe sometimes want to be in control, it might be an extra ultra focus on you and the way that you control things to keep your life and your businesses in control, and projecting that onto everything that's happening in the romantic connection.
Oh, that was good. That was good. And y'all too. I feel that when I date. And I actually try not to even talk about anything that I do, which is a little difficult only because, like I just said, right now, it has not always been that way, and it may not always be that way. But right now, that's just how it is. And I would like to have a guy that would come in and not feel like it's going to be too much work. So our CEO, we were at an excursion the other day here in Chicago, and he started doing stuff that Kieran met me over there. We were doing the wine making thing, right? And he just started doing stuff that, to help everybody make the wine. I'm like, are you taking over where the winemaking guys should be doing? And he said, well, leaders lead. That's what I do. And so it took me back, and I said, I'm so glad you said that, because I believe that leaders lead. That's what they do. However, you hear a lot of people men on social media saying, she won't allow me to lead. Like for me, I'm a Leo too. You ain't gotta allow me to lead.
You hella problematic. No, I'm just kidding.
Whatever.
I got a lot of Leos in my life, like a lot of Leos in my life.
You don't have to allow me to lead, because if something needs to be done and it's not getting done, and it doesn't seem like anybody else knows how to get it done, if I don't know how to get it done, I'm gonna hit up Google or Chat GPT, whatever, and okay, how do we get this done? Like my car this past week, this light kept coming on. Called my mechanic. He told me it was the oil pump. Well, I had already did the research, and the research told me, well, the oil pump on this car don't usually go out. It's usually the oil pressure switch. I said, so y'all took over that too. Because
Right.
I wasn't trying to pay for an oil pump when the oil pressure switch is less than half of the oil pump.
Right.
Right. And I didn't want nobody trying to get over on me because I'm a woman.
Right.
But because now Google and Chat GPT exist. So I don't have to wait for you to tell me what's going on. I can actually tell you probably what's going on or what could be going on.
Right.
So I said, no, we're going to do this first.
Right.
And so we did what I said first, and the light has not
it
come
worked
back
out.
on. Yay!
I got a new quote for you and your CEO. Leaders lead.
Mm-hmm.
Great leaders create other leaders by knowing when not to lead.
Well, in certain situations.
So you want to be a leader or a great leader? A great
in
leader
certain
knows how to
situations,
differentiate.
That is when the great leader is showing the others to lead. Yeah.
But in the situation that you were just talking about, as far as the CEO, I mean, if he's not a winemaker,
Yeah,
Oh,
shut
he's
up.
done it several times, though. He goes all the time. He knows the other guy because he goes so many times to make wine.
I hear you.
So it's like he is one of the winemakers. So the winemaker, the
sorta.
leader of the class, was busy helping somebody bottle, and they was getting another class started. So our CEO
So
just hopped in and started
stepped in and
helping
helped
the
them.
people that was in our group,
Gotcha.
do what they needed to do next, because none of us knew what we was doing, and he already knew. So he had the knowledge. He took over, and the other guy was, appreciative of that, because you can't be 3 places at one time. And so the
What was
other
the
guy
context again? What made him say leaders lead? Somebody said something to him about
Yeah,
him?
I said to him, you just taking over here.
Oh, okay. You said.
And
you
he
just
said,
taking
well,
the lead.
leaders lead.
God bless.
And so that's what he was doing. But back to your question, Okara, your topic. When you can bring up that somebody is doing the same thing that they're accusing you of doing, I believe it is either, like Inyatu said, when there's nothing going on, which is a little difficult because, like, I read some years ago, like, if your man not doing what he's supposed to do in the bed, don't tell him while y'all in the bed. A lot of men don't like to be instructed while they in mid-stroke, right? Like, don't do that. Don't finish. Get this. They don't like that. You supposed to wait until y'all not in the bedroom setting, because that conversation, I guess it could kill the mood.
It depends on how you say it.
Yeah. Women have y'all are situated such where if you know how to deliver it, you can deliver anything. You hear me?
anything.
Anything. If you channel your feminine energy and get the purring out here in these streets, a man gonna rock with what you're saying. So me personally, that guy said that, and that's true for him. tell me right then and there. Why are we about to waste a sexual experience with me doing stuff that you ain't liking or in a way that you're not liking for you to try to tell me later and then for me to try to remember the next time we in bed? No, tell me right then, a little to the left, slower, faster.
Oh, that's what you wanted to
However,
do? A little to the
if
left?
you know what you want, because I'm a pleaser, so that's what I'm all about anyway. So and I try to pay attention enough to women's bodies and body language to where I am accepting instructions, even if I'm not being given verbal instructions. I try to really focus in and pay attention to what I'm doing. But if you tell me, I'm geeked. Like, yeah, show me how to win, because that's what I'm here to do. And the win is to please you to the highest level.
So I agree with him as far as that subject, because I don't understand why we wasting this time. I've sat in the pocket. I would say it like that. I've sat in the pocket and and had somebody, all right, softer, squeeze more, this, that, or the other, and instruct me how to do things. Because the reality is, especially with certain things, certain people are extremely sensitive, and certain people are not. And so you don't know who is extremely sensitive and who are not.
Everybody different.
And so
Period.
I don't think it's necessary to waste an experience just so my ego. I don't have an ego when it comes to sex. My only thing is I want to get the job done, because I want you to only want to have sex with me.
Big facts.
I ain't got time to just throw a session away and hope you decide.
Right. I'm trying to turn you out today.
So
But some men, that ease their ego.
it bruises the ego. No, I understand.
It goes back to what was said. Are people ready to receive or not? And usually it's like overall, everybody can have moments, but usually if a person, that's their MO, no matter what it is. They just not ready to receive. And then there are those who, again, always see room for improvement and take advantage of opportunities to improve. Go to the mic, bro.
What was you pointing to?
I was pointing to the mic for Zeke to hit the mizite.
How everybody
You're
doing?
supposed to sit in the things, but you got to wait
you
till
wasn't-
sit
In the
in
queue.
the chair.
You gotta hold down.
You got to wait till we finish the discussion,
Oh,
and
okay,
then.
my fault.
But you can sit
Oh.
in the chair right there. Okay, you come back over here. Once yeah. So I just.
I was just going to add to what y'all was talking about, but
You can add to it. You just got to come over here. That's what that's what the paper and the pencil is for, right there. Okay. So as we was talking about that, a friend of mine had an experience with this guy, and it was like a oral kind of thing. And like y'all were saying, you were saying some people are sensitive and some people are not. And so she said that this guy went down there like he was about to just suck the clit straight off her body and walk away with it. And so she's screaming, but he's thinking that she's screaming because she like it. She's like, I'm trying to push him off of me, and he's just still going at it. And then, it finally stopped. And so she told him, and he was mad about it. He said that she was supposed to lay there. She was supposed to enjoy what he was doing to her. She was supposed to give him the chance. So how you going to... So y'all, that's not right, right?
No, that's
Not at all.
Not
Not at all.
Because I will say this. So there is, when you are doing that particular act, right?
Doing what?
Oral.
Oh.
When
They're
you are
kissing the
doing,
kitty.
yeah. So when you
Okay.
are doing that particular act, sometimes it can be confusing between the two actions of somebody who is irritated by it, and then somebody
Or
who's
passion.
who's
or
actually
irritated.
enjoying it, because sometimes it almost seems the same, right? But what a young lady taught me is you have to look at, or you have to pay attention to what she's doing. And so if she's pulling you in, that's enjoying. If she's kind of like squirming,
Hitting you in the head. Stop.
that is when you have to, that's when you have to, do something else. And so, but I think that if you aren't told that for a lot of men, you may not understand the difference between the two actions because it just seems like, because she might be making noise, it just seems the same. So,
So how does it work for women? Do y'all like instructions on the spot when you're riding or giving head, or do you want to wait till Monday?
you know what? That is a really good question because men aren't the only ones with egos. Women have egos as well. So when y'all not doing what y'all think y'all doing on the
Karen,
What
On the
about-
mic.
how do y'all
Look,
want that?
put
How do
mi-
y'all want that information?
put your mouth to the mic and tell
Get
us.
on the mic, girl.
Get on the
I wanted to ask,
Mic check,
what
1,
about
2.
when women giving fellatio?
Right.
What do you
That's
got?
what we're
That's what we're talking about. We
All right.
want you to chime
So
in.
let's just
You
say,
want instructions on the spot?
let's say, Karen, you are giving fellatio and you're not doing a good job, or he's not enjoying it. Like maybe
Right.
the last guy enjoyed that
Yeah.
way. How would you want him to express that to you? Would you want him to tell you in the moment, or would you want him to wait until another day and
No, in a moment.
you like the moment too?
Yeah, I want you to tell me in a moment. But see, I go by body language and all of that. If it don't seem like this is working, I'm gonna keep doing different things until I get that,
Gotcha.
response.
So
What about you, Xavia?
for me, you saying fellatio, that's not really my thing.
Oh,
So you-
how did I know? I don't know.
You would have to tell me because I might not get it right, but I mean, whenever whatever. Just don't grab the back of my head.
Oh,
Don't grab the back
Lord.
of my head and
Oh,
hold me there.
Lord.
Just don't do that. But you can tell.
Grabbing
me
the back of your head is
'cause I-
disrespectful, or her saying what she's saying is
So-
disrespectful.
No, grab
So
the
you
head.
like a
Oh, Lord.
Don't be-
Everybody needs instructions
Don't
in
be grabbing
here.
the back of my
Y'all
head.
sound like women
Just
who need
tell me.
instructions on the
Give
spot.
me verbal instructions, not physical directions.
Ooh.
Right?
You can't receive. Sound like you can't receive the information
Are you like a
as it
holiday,
pertains to fellatio.
Are you like a holiday birthday type of girl?
I'm not
Oh,
a holiday
Lord.
birthday type of girl because y'all been on my Facebook page.
You
long
said you
enough.
modern.
I'm a sexual person. That just has never like been my. Like some women be on there. Oh yeah,
But you're
I
modern.
can
Right.
suck a hose through a thimble, whatever. I'm not. You ain't gonna never hear me say nothing like that because I can't even imagine what that would look like. But I mean, I'm not a birthday holiday kind
I
of
am
person.
not personally affected, but at the same time, I feel a little heartbroken and in a sunken place hearing you say this in this
But
moment.
look, okay, so when I've done it, with the people I've done it with, I never have had any complaints or whatever. I
Oh,
get the
man.
job done.
Well, some people ain't gonna say nothing.
Well, they might not say nothing.
Right.
Don't ever get
They
it
can't
again.
grab the back of your
No,
head.
you better not grab the back of my
Oh,
head.
I
Lord.
know. I'm with you.
That's mandatory. That's mandatory.
What you doing?
Every man you've ever given fellatio to at some point had the desire to grab the back of your head.
Well,
I'm just telling you.
Would
they
they
might
pull
have
your
had
hair?
the desire. You can pull. Well, it depends on which hair I have on. You can pull my hair.
Uh,
You can pull my hair. Especially like doggy style and stuff. That's hot. Yeah, because anyway.
God bless.
Okay.
But yeah,
Do you eat groceries?
what's that?
She like. What? I'm just asking.
Sip my drink. Eating groceries is a oral anus pleasure.
That's a hell to the gnaw. Ever,
Why you
never.
looking at me?
No.
I don't know. You asked her
Not
the question, so
gonna
I'll see
happen.
your
That's
reaction to her
disgusting.
answer because you want to
However,
know.
if he likes to do that, that's
You like
his
your
business.
groceries eaten.
That's his business. I believe that we all
We
have
starting to
choices in life.
we starting to learn
That
about you in this
Just-
moment, Xavia.
because you make a certain
no
choice,
fellatio,
don't-
really.
Yeah, I do.
I mean,
would
I didn't
do
say you
it.
don't give it, but it ain't your favorite.
That's not my thing.
right, and it's gonna show.
But I have
it's
been
gonna
in
show through.
long-term relationships.
No grabbing the head.
So there's other things that I'm good at.
Want your groceries ate, but ain't into eating groceries, which is fine with me because that ain't my
Yeah, I'm
thing
not. Yeah,
neither.
you,
God bless. Karen,
God bless.
are you a grocery eater?
I've done it once.
How'd you like it?
It wasn't for me.
Okay.
It's just like if I'm giving fellatio, that don't
Interesting.
turn me on.
That's why you've
What?
been married all them times.
That's terrible.
Well, let me put it
I mean,
this
it's
way.
not terrible. It's true for a lot of
I
women
know
on the
what you
planet
mean.
Earth.
I'm a pleaser as well. You know, I'm a pleaser. So if that's getting you all, you know, all whatever the term is, and then it's going to benefit me.
You know, I used to think, I'd be like, how Karen find 3 husbands and I can't? Now I know.
You know what?
I just want to thank the Lord in this moment for giving me the
talked up.
kinks and non-kinks that I have, because I like to do the things that women like on my own.
Because you know what?
And I can't imagine what type of challenges I would be facing if I didn't like doing the things that women like, but we're trying to just do it because women like it. So I just want to thank God right now for making me and y'all too.
I don't have any hang-ups or anything. You know, there's probably 1 or 2 things that I won't do. But for the most part, I'm just like, not just sexually, but I'm just saying period. I'm just, hey, come on, let's do it. Let's go, whatever. Maybe that's
I'm
it.
kind of a,
I
come on,
like
let's do
that.
it, let's go.
And I'm
but there's
traditional.
some dead ends.
Yeah, no, I
Run into some dead
agree
ends.
with Karen.
Wait, what'd you say?
She's
Traditional
modern,
what?
I'm traditional. I have traditional
Oh, okay.
values.
All right.
There's certain things I won't partake in, but for the most part, you know, if we only having, you know, sex with each other, then we need to be open. Because you know, sex is just like everything. There's some part of entertainment attached to it, and so you gotta make it entertaining. You gotta make it as much as you can. If you asking somebody to only have sex with you,
Right,
know,
you
they
can't be
can't
stuck
have-
in your ways.
Right. They
Let's
can't-
Different.
let our audience wants to participate, so we want to keep our sessions to 30. So come on up here, our audience members.
Come on, Zeke.
Sherwood, you've been sitting in the thing. Ezekiel, you be after Sherwood. Come on, what you got for us here?
Well, no, I just wanted to comment on the when you guys switched it over to the sexual side. So we can say something about sex at the moment, but we can't say something about a partner gaslighting or stonewalling at that moment, or trying to turn it back around. And as sometimes I think that there may be times that you might have to wait, but there should be ways to be able to ask questions or to project, or to let that person know that, hey, you're kind of projecting right now, that, hey, you know what, you're asking me to do something or not to do something that you're doing even right now. Are you open to talking about that or realizing that that's an issue, but while at the same time recognizing that, yeah, that might be true. What you're saying could be very much true, but it can go both ways. We can have that conversation. We can both make changes at this moment, or we can talk about it later and let them decide. Because it's one of those things that even if you let them decide to talk about it later, it goes on the principle, I'm not letting the day set without saying something about it.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
What's the difference between listening to respond and listening to comprehend and understand?
Time.
Elaborate. You only used up about 45 seconds.
Okay, so listening to respond and listening to comprehend, the only difference, is time, because you can comprehend at the same time as responding. So if I wanted to respond at the moment, I could have comprehended very quickly, but I can wait, and that could just give the person, the individual, let them know that, hey, I waited.
Right. I think people's natural inclination is that if they tell you something, you immediately respond, right? Especially if the response is directed back at them and not addressing what they just shared with you about you. That the natural perception of that is going to be you was listening to respond and not listening to understand, because you're not addressing what they told you about you. You immediately are addressing the fact that it exists with them, which is responding to what they said as opposing to demonstrating any level of interest, understanding, or comprehension or willingness to adjust to what they shared with you.
But I said initially that you have to acknowledge that what they said could possibly
Facts.
be true. So if that's the case, I mean, you do have to acknowledge what they said, and then you can come in after that. But to tie in though on the other part, because I want to defend the brothers that don't have egos but still don't like being told about sexual things, because when it comes down to sex, it's really about an expression or communication of what I want to express to oneself. But you should definitely have some sort of idea of like paying attention to that person and paying attention to their keys. But it is like my language, my expression, like what I want to say. Can it be corrected or improved? Possibly. But is that the goal? It depends on the relationship. If that's not if that's the goal, then you can just get robots or people that just want to do that. But just like communication or love, it's expressed different ways. And so some people have passion, some people have lust, some people have, I mean, it could be so many things at different times. So I think that it should be an openness to be able to allow individuals to express themselves.
Hold
So
on.
are you
we
open
got
to?
our 2-minute limit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We
I
gotta
had a
keep
question.
that. Okay. All right. Let's, because we want to get them all in and still keep us on time, which we're actually a little bit over. Come on with our next audience participation.
Zeke.
Come on and put that 2-minute timer on.
I'm finna say I just like how you looking today, Fox. You really, the white did it for you.
Oh,
Like
thank
your
you.
hair, you did the most.
my
Makeup, nice.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Karen over there looking extra sexy. Give it up for yourselves. Yeah.
Give it up for the women on the panel.
But y'all know me. I
Thank you.
deal with a circle of 5 and 3 on a regular basis.
Oh
So,
my
yeah.
goodness.
when you making love to somebody, y'all sharing in the session of oneness, that's where the earning and learning come in. Whereas when before you even make it to the bedroom, you can establish, what she's wanting and what you're wanting. You know what I'm saying? Before you even enter the bedroom. So when you get in the bedroom, you shouldn't be uptight. You should be relaxed, and you should be submitting to her, and she should be submitting to you. And you guys are going in there to make something great. Do that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I don't think there should be any dictation in the bedroom. Well, it should be a little dictation. But what I'm saying is, so,
Slow
but
down.
in the pursuit of trying to love another human being, it's been rough. And I'm dating somebody. I met at Christmas. I've been trying to date seriously for once in my life in a long time. And it's like, no matter how hard I try, I'm still wrong, And, she be like, well, you did with a circle of 5. Okay, so is that 5 in this bedroom? No. Are we in the bedroom together? Are you here on a regular basis? That's all you need to worry about at this point. Because, like, when you met me, you knew who I was. So why is you trying to make this an issue now? Because the circle of 5 I deal with, I'm not sexually active with everybody. This is the most monogamous I've been in my whole life. And I don't want to overtalk, but I've been dealing with 7 women all my life since I came on this earth, my mom and my 6 sisters. So it's always been easy for me to juggle and juggle women, multiple women versus dealing with one. Because the one, you got to deal with everything, every issue. When you got a multitude, you can deal with this and you can compartmentalize different things, and it's just been easier for me to do that. For me to just focus on one and check in every day and call every day. I don't like going home on a regular basis, so it's hard for me to do that. So
You want some feedback, Zeke?
yes,
God bless. Right? So, it's in my introduction, serial data back in the day, so I can relate to what you're saying, that it's actually more challenging to be in a healthy relationship with one person than it is to juggle a bunch of people. But a woman told me years ago, she said that in Yatu, the way you frame things and the way you share things will make a woman feel like she can go along with what you're saying you want to do.
Yeah.
Because the way how influential you are and how kind you are and all these other attributes will make a woman think she can deal with the truth you gave her up front.
That's right.
Right? Because that's her imagination. She ain't in it yet.
Right.
Right? So she listening to your words, and your words taking her to a place where she can imagine herself dealing with your truth. And then she get in your truth, and it's not that. And so you may have to accept that about yourself, that you're an influential person, and that even sometimes when a person is telling you yes, that's a temporary yes and not a permanent yes.
Oh,
That
yeah.
sometimes people agreeing in the moment, but that don't mean that they going to agree forever.
But I don't want to be over my 2 minutes, but
You there?
okay, I'll come back.
We got one more. We're gonna get you in real quick, and then we're gonna take our first break.
So Okara was talking about when is the right time to tell somebody that they're accusing you of something that they do all the time. And although I don't follow this, I'm working on it. But what I think the right answer is you don't. I think the right answer is that you have to listen to what somebody's telling you. I'm married to a Leo.
That's a
So
wonderful
he
thing.
always talking, and you know, I think it's a man thing. I don't even think it's a Leo thing. They're just always talking,
It's a
and
man thing, yeah.
you know. But
You
the
Leo
thing
something.
is,
Don't start nothing.
It's Leo thing, promise you.
It's a man thing.
No, no,
okay,
no.
well, all I know is this Leo talks a lot, and I like what you said about how we reflect each other, because that helped me to look at it a little differently, because I would get angry when he would accuse me of something. I'd be like, you do that all the time. You know, but if he is reflecting me, and that's the reason the universe has brought us together, then what that means to me is that that's his issue that he brings to me. I can't reflect it back to him. Right. I've got to stop it. I've got to figure out a way to keep my mouth shut, because I'm not the type person. You know, you bring some BS to me, I'm going to bring it right back to you. But this new me, who has evaluated my husband, and he is like on the top of most scales, I need to make sure that I am nurturing him as well. And the best way for me to nurture him, because he really thinks that I walk on water, the best way for me to nurture him is to be quiet and allow him to speak, evaluate what he's saying, and try to fix it. Don't try to go back to, because the biggest way for me to get him to see what I'm talking about is when I change. Mm-hmm. Because if he sees me and he sees that, whoa, she ain't doing what she used to do, you know, usually we'd be fighting by now, and then I'm not fighting, you know, then it opens the door, and he's able to see, okay,
Yep.
what's going on? Something is shifting, and I'm like, no, I'm listening to you, and I'm gonna work on that.
Can I give you some
And
feedback
I'm not
about
even
that?
gonna go to it what he do to me, because not at that time, and maybe not until he realizes that shift, because once you get in a relationship and that continues to happen, that breaks down the communication.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that will hurt you in your relationship. So if you value your relationship, you really need to stop it and say, just listen to what he's saying to me, because he has the floor. I didn't come in here talking about it because it wasn't on top of my list.
That's a tool. A lot of
Can
people,
I-
couples
Go
don't
ahead.
have tools in place. You put that tool in place.
I'm just gonna
I'm
say.
just doing it now. I mean, this ain't.
God bless.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this. That works for me, because when I've noticed that in my relationship, she started. I could tell that she was listening to the things that I was saying, and she just changed her behavior. And when she changed her behavior, it made me more aware of my behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, you know, and it's like, oh, you know, and
Can't
so
jump
yes,
on
you know, I don't know your husband, but I know that approach worked for me.
That's good. That was good
I have
stuff.
a little bit different feedback. I think everything that you said was very true and very important, and I think that definitely needs to be a tool on a person's tool belt. But one of the most important aspects of any relationship is communication. And one of the greatest advantages of being in a marriage or close proximity relationship is the mirror, the feedback. Everybody has blind spots, and you can't see everything. And when you have the right person in close proximity to you, they can be your extra set of eyes or that extended rear view mirror to help you see things that they can't see. And so I think that you at least need to make the other person aware of it at some point in some way, because that gives them the tools to be the type of husband that he wants to be. And if he's not getting the feedback from you about certain things, then he doesn't have the information that he needs to decide whether or not he wants to shift or change it based on how it's affecting you and affecting the relationship. And so feedback is so important to relationship awareness. It's very important to be self-aware, but then once you get in a relationship and a marriage, you got to be marriage and relationship aware as well, and that doesn't happen without feedback.
But let me say this real quick. Not all communication is verbal.
Fact.
Right.
You have nonverbal communication, and I think that the change in your behavior, if he is aware, if he's paying attention to what's going on, I think that that in itself is nonverbal communication. It's saying, I heard you, I made these, because you got to see it unless you just not paying attention. I heard you, I made these changes. Now that person does have to look at themselves, because if they are doing the same thing that y'all were doing the same thing to each other, now you not doing it anymore, now it's going to stand out to him that he doing the same thing he just accused
Because
you.
Xavia.
Let me
Because
say
the-
this. I just want to say one thing. You're absolutely right. And if I come tit for tat, we don't fix the problem.
Right, because that's what I was about to
Yeah.
ask you. Because the way that I took what you said was that previously you would just go tit for tat. And now you're deciding, I'm not going to go tit for tat.
'Cause it
I'm
doesn't
going to
work.
just change my behavior, and then,
And
hopefully that would.
Later on in life, when he does something that, that thing, I can say, hey, I don't really like that because I already stopped doing that.
Right.
So he has recollection and he can say, yeah, you did fix that. So let's not do that, and so it's just a better way of doing it rather than just going tit for tat and ruining your relationship.
Again, there's so much validity to what you guys are saying, but it's the dynamic is not always tit for tat. That there's something that I could do that bothers my lady, and she does the same thing, but it doesn't bother me. Should I stop her just because she brought it to me, even though it doesn't bother me? So if you're bringing it up just because they brought it up and it doesn't bother you, then that makes it tit for tat. But if it does bother you and you don't tell them, you haven't made them aware, and it's dangerous to assume that your needs are exactly the same as mine, and you're a woman and I'm a man, and we've had two different 50-year experiences before we came together. So again, that feedback, if they don't know, even if they see you change, they like, okay, she sees I don't like it, but they may think that you're totally okay with it because you're not communicating anything else to them.
Okay, well.